Hey everyone, my name's Kelvin and welcome to my video tutorial where I'm going to show you how I like to paint this potted palm plant just like this one here. So the first thing I want to do is grab the abstract round brush and I'll make the pot first. I'm going to make this one of these sort of basket pots I've seen before. So I'll choose a kind of a light brown color like that. And let's see if I remember how it is. Something like this. So once I've got the rough shape sort of made here, I'm going to go to my selection tool and select warp. And I'm just going to straighten it out a little bit because it did end up getting a little bit crooked. Okay, that's good. And now I'll just sort of clean up the edges with the eraser here. Okay, I'm happy with that. That's a pretty good shape. So I'll grab my selection tool here. And I think I'll just go right down the middle, kind of a curving line. And just over here like this. There we go. So I'm getting a little bit of that, a little bit of that. It's thinner here, and I haven't selected any of the top area. So let's go over to my magic wand tool. And I'll lower the brightness a little bit to give us that shadow. Okay, that's pretty good. I'll also just do a hard shadow on the edge and the bottom here like that. So we'll give that a shadow, just a little bit lighter though. And then also I want to darken the opening of the basket. So it has a circular opening like this. So I'll just use my selection tool and circle in like that. And then I'll darken that one. So it's starting to look like a basket. I'll just clean it up again with the eraser. Now I'm going to grab the water brush at the bottom here. And I'll blend some of these shadows. And this will make it look a little bit more realistic here. Just going to be careful not to grab the white like that. I'm just going to try to stay inside the lines. I think I want to curve the center line just a little bit more. So I'll grab the arrow tool here and I'll make sure it's still on warp. Then I can actually just pull the bottom, pull the edges up like that, just so it's a little bit more, I guess, conical. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now, I did see these where the bottom was kind of white, like the bottom of this basket was sort of painted white, so I'll try that. And I'll feather it just a tiny bit, and we'll see what it looks like as white. So let's desaturate it, increase the brightness a little bit. Yeah, I think I like that. I'll select the top and make that a little bit darker, I think. And a little bit richer with a higher saturation here. There we go, that's pretty cool. Now it doesn't have a basket texture. I think what I'll do is I'll create another layer. And I've still got the same color when I painted this basket. So I'll just grab my, I think the smooth pen. We'll see what that looks like. That's pretty good. Maybe a little bit bigger size. And as long as I'm on the layer above the pot, I'm just gonna add some lines here, but I'm gonna start in the middle and then I'm gonna curve it on the edges and I'll just keep having that. So this will help you sort of give your brush strokes the right curve. Instead of just starting from the edge and going over, do the middle, do the sides, and then do like 50% and then cut those in half like this. Okay, I think that's enough vertical ones. So I'll do some horizontal ones and I'm gonna do it just exactly the same way. It does look like I went over the edge a little bit, so I'll clean that up real quick here. So let's see, that looks pretty good. I just want to set this basket weave layer to multiply, and then I'm going to make it way lighter. I really want this to be a faint effect. And then multiply means that it's going to add this color to the one underneath it. So if I circle, if I circle here with the selection tool, this middle part, and feather it out, and then I make it a little bit brighter, it'll actually fade it. As long as it's on multiply, this is a technique that'll work great. So I'm just going to add white to that area, and we'll kind of fade it away in the middle there. I don't want to fade it too much, just give it a little bit of dimension there. We'll do it again, a little bit of a bigger circle. Just lighten it up. There we go. I just want this subtle sort of basket weave texture going on there. So I'm happy with the basket. I'm going to go ahead and just merge down, just sort of add those layers together so it's easier to handle. And I guess this edge does look a little bit sharp, so I'll use the water blender and smooth that out. Now I'm going to start on the palm tree. So let's go to another layer, just create one above it. And I'm going to grab kind of a dark jungle green color, something like that. And I'll go back to, I think I want to use the soft Neptune quill brush, but let's see how that looks. Okay, pretty cool. And I think something like this is good. I don't want it to be too sensitive because I'll accidentally make it too big. So let's try really, really lightly, and then I'll press sort of hard, and then I'll lighten it off at the end. Now I think I want to add some darker ones behind it, but let's create some sort of leaf cutouts first. And I don't know what these are called, but I have this kind of palm tree around my house, and they often have these like splits in the leaves. So I'll do that by going to the eraser brush, and I've chosen an eraser that is pressure sensitive, so if I start really small it's like that, but if I press hard it widens out. Imagining the center of the leaf, I'm going to enter the leaf kind of hard like that, and then I'm going to lighten it up and then stop at the center like that. So I'll do that in a bunch of random places to create these splits. Okay, I'm happy with these splits. I'm just trying to sort of refine where the leaf hits the stem and make that a little bit of a sharper corner. Now I'm going to create those leaves in the background, and that's going to be a little bit of a darker shade here. I'll go back and make sure I have that soft Neptune quill brush, the same one I used to make those. I'll test it here. Okay, the size is right. Maybe a little bit darker. If I just go like this on top, it'll cover up those leaves. So I want to mask it off, and I'll do that by going to the selection tool, and I'll make sure it's on automatic, and I can just select and drag. And I'm just trying to select the very edge there, but not too much. Okay, that's pretty good. And there's one isolated area here I can just tap to include in that selection. Now I'll go back to my brush, and when I draw, it'll be sort of covered up by what's in front. So let's add a leaf back here. Remember, I gotta start really small. Okay, I'm happy with those. So I'll leave that selection, and then I'll do the same thing. I'll add some of these sort of splits in the leaves. Okay, I'm happy with that. That looks pretty good. I'm just going to move it over a little bit using the uniform selection tool. Just move it like that. I can tilt it a little bit so it's more balanced. There we go. Now I'm going to go in and blend some of these edges here. So I'll grab the water blender tool, and I'll start with the bottom. I want to add some texture to these leaves, a little bit more texture. So I'll make a selection, I'll use the freehand one, and I'll make a selection just sort of covering the middle of that sort of spread of leaves. And I'll feather it out a bit, hue, saturation, and brightness, and I'll just shift the colors just a little bit more to the magenta or yellow here. Maybe brighten it just a little bit. I want to add some interesting lighting to these because they look really flat right now. So I'll also sort of randomly select some sort of areas like that. Just trying to like select this, kind of a bar there and a bar there. And I'll feather that out just a little bit. Do the same thing. We'll lighten it up. And when you brighten stuff, you usually have to lower the saturation, but not too much. Maybe we'll shift it a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. And on these darker leaves, I want to add some highlights to them. So kind of like if this leaf is in the front, that could be the shadow, and I'll lighten this. So it looks like now the light's just hitting the edge of this leaf. And I didn't feather that one. Same thing over here. Okay, that's pretty good. I'll just blend it a little bit. Not all of those edges, but just some of them. I'm going to merge this together with the pot. Merge down so I can move it. And then I can just move it to the center of the artboard so it's a little bit better framed. So that's pretty much it. That's how I paint a palm leaf, a palm plant here in a kind of a basket pot. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll also put a link to this add-on that I'm using in the description of this video. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for your support and thanks for watching.